The reason why I'm summing it all up is because where he is now, right? Everything that he has done and the empire that he has built and he continues to build is leading to him to where he's supposed to be as he slowly chips away at where he's going to end up in the future. But Jeriq currently works in sports. He deals a lot with script writing, creating games and content for live fan experiences. So stick with us as we start to talk about that. As I just mentioned, he works for the Greensboro Swarm, the G League affiliate for the Charlotte Hornets NBA team. And he just had his season with the High Point Rockers, which is where him and I met. We will talk about the Rockers later, but let's hop right into how did you know you wanted to work in sports? We kind of already talked about it a little bit, but why did you end up choosing the NBA and the Charlotte Hornets to start?
The Swarm, I want to say, technically found me through my great friend, Stephen Pond, or SP, the MC, to some people. He reached out because he knew I kind of had the track record and was looking for like something big to put on my resume as far as working in sports, because after graduating college, unfortunately I graduated during the pandemic, so the world was shut down completely. I actually had my first surgery a day before the world shut down completely, so I had to do recovery during the pandemic. Also had to do online work during the pandemic. Once the school year was over, they mailed me my degree, young. But luckily, before the pandemic in undergrad, I was interning with the Carolina Cobras, the arena football team that plays at the Greensboro Coliseum, which is a part of the National Arena League. So that was kind of like my introduction to working in sports without being an athlete. And it kind of opened my eyes, like, this is pretty cool. You've been growing up watching sports on TV your whole life, personally your whole life, but now you're kind of working at it behind the scenes. So really, I started looking at it like you're kind of getting paid to watch sports, but just working in it. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. I can kind of get the hang of this, and I can still interact with the players. I'm still watching it live, but I'm just doing a little work, just a little bit. I'm cool with that. Interning with the Cobras for the first couple years kind of got me adjusted to working in sports, and I'm always going to be forever grateful for the Cobras and my supervisor, Cassidy Webb, because she really put the battery in my back to kind of do what I do now with the Rockers and with the Swarm. Really kind of like opened my eyes to it. Like, you can run the show and just be as important as the players without being a player. So I'm like, okay, this is exactly what I want to do in sports. After interning with the Cobras during undergrad, luckily after the pandemic, I was blessed with the opportunity to intern at the athletic department at Winston-Salem State University, doing, graphic design, basically just sports marketing. So I did everything from graphics, setting up game day operations for camps, events. I even had to be the mascot one time. I had to be Amon the Ram at Winston State one time. So really just working in sports, that gave me the opportunity to kind of figure out what exactly outside of game day operations that I wanted to do with sports. So that's when I kind of fell in love with the whole marketing aspect of it with graphic design. I bought Photoshop, I went on YouTube University, and I found a bunch of tutorials and everything to kind of learn how to do like sports graphics, how to cut out players out of pictures and take 5 pictures and make one big picture. You just really learning how to market the athletes, market the players without being an athlete or player. After a while with teaching myself with, graphic design, luckily I had a lot of relationships with the coaches that I worked alongside with, a couple arena league players, that I got to watch and work with over the years. Even some of the collegiate athletes that played at Winston State University or any university in the CIAA, any league, I would just randomly do a graphic of the player. I post it on Instagram, tag them, tag as many people as possible. No matter if it was a good graphic or a bad graphic, I just knew I was doing something with sports, and I knew it was going to work out sooner or later, which it actually picked up. I was able to do graphics for like a couple of G League players, a lot of collegiate players. I was blessed to do graphics for the cheerleading team, the best cheerleading team of all the land, the powerhouse of red and white at Winston-Salem State University. So it was amazing. So I kind of fell in love with the whole graphic design and game day operation of sports, working with that, interning with, the athletic department. I was also blessed with an opportunity to work in hockey. So now I'm working in another sport that it was kind of foreign to me. I never played hockey, never been to a hockey game before, but I knew how to market these players and how to market the team just based off my experience with graphic design and interning at the university. They brought me in, I did a couple graphics, and I was also blessed to design some of the specialty jerseys that the hockey players actually wore on the ice. And I honestly felt like the little kid in JB that grew up, creating teams and jerseys on like sports games growing up, and then transitioning to doing it like as an adult. The jerseys you're making on a video game, it's coming to life. And that's kind of what I do with any jersey design I do. With me being a huge gamer, for example, with hockey, I just, load up NHL 22 or whatever hockey game I got at the time. I would create the team, and I would design the jersey in the game. So then in the game, I can see how the player moves. So if he's shooting left with the numbers on the right side, like look right. It was really fun, designing the jerseys and the graphics and stuff for the hockey players. I actually have one in my closet. It was like a Pucks and Paws jersey. It's pretty nice. Going back to Thunderbirds games now, like to this day, some of the players still wear, well, not some of the players, some of the fans still wear the jerseys that I designed. And that, I'm not going to say it kind of makes me want to cry, but it's like tears of joy. Like you made that. You created something that people bought and wear religiously. So not only did I do the jerseys, I also did some of the dashers around the ice. So it's like I'm doing advertising for companies now that's on the ice. I'm creating jerseys, for this team. It was amazing because it was like a kind of like an internship contract type of thing. So once my contract expired, I still hung around, did graphics for like the players and stuff. And then I transitioned into the Greensboro Swarm with the NBA G League. NBA G League affiliate of the Charlotte Hornets, the Greensboro Swarm. Steven, you know what I mean? Like, I know the work you put in over years. I think this would be perfect for you. You're a huge basketball guy, so you'll love it even more. So less than grateful that, Kobe Thompson and the rest of the Greensboro Swarm brought me in and blessed me with the opportunity to work alongside the NBA. And it's been a wonderful experience. Like, I'm a kid in the candy shop every time I go there because not only am I a huge basketball guy, basketball coach and everything, I get to also look at the game up close as a coach. Now, seeing how the player movement is, like if he sets this screen or if this play will work, or kind of looking at scenarios that I can use off the court as a coach in my own time. And then I also get to look at it as a worker, as a fan. I'm really running the show. The fans are having a good time. The players, we're not messing up the flow of the game, so they get to stay in the zone and everything. So really as a worker, seeing everything run so smoothly, getting on off the court in time, fans are having fun, games going well, the atmosphere is great, whether we're winning or losing. That's kind of the win in my book as a worker. I look at it differently than just looking at it as a fan while being a worker.
Yes, it definitely sounds like you have a lengthy resume in creating, marketing, fan experience for somebody as young as you are. That is very amazing that you continue to build your resume and you're almost like well above your years as far as experience and personality and just being a hard worker. Like honestly, and we'll talk about it when we get to the rockers portion of this, which is what we're going to be talking about next. So stay with us. But JB is one of the hardest people I have ever met as far as working, hardworking people. He does whatever is asked of him. He's creative. He comes up with his own ideas. He'll go above and beyond 99.9% of the time. Even when he's tired, he's like, guys, we got to push through. Guys, we got to push through. And I'm a lot like that too, where today I have literally been nonstop since probably 8:30 this morning. It's like I have a husband, I have a house, I run my own business, I have a podcast, I'm working with clients. We just wrapped up baseball season. I'm putting an event together. So I feel like creative minded people like him and I, and a lot of you that are probably tuning in right now, the more you have going on, it's almost like the better because your cup is never full enough. At least that's how I feel. What's the next thing? Like, when's the next job? When's the next gig? I can't wait for the next baseball game. When can I design something? So I think being a creative minded individual is very, very special. So again, working alongside people like Jeriq is really fun and it helps you kind of like challenge your skills as well. Speaking of challenges, you kind of just talked a lot about what do you enjoy most about these jobs that you have worked and that you're continuing to work. But what do you find the most challenging?
The most challenging, I kind of would say just adapting to the long work days and work weeks, because some days will be light, some days will be super long, some weeks will be super short where you ain't got a lot going on, then some weeks you got everything going on. So really just adapting. Okay, now I'm busy. Now I'm not. Now I'm busy. Now I'm not. So really just adapting to the flow of the sport that you're working in. And then especially with me and my experience, me working in football, college basketball, college softball, all the college sports, hockey, the NBA, and now baseball, the hardest challenge really was for me just adapting to the flow of all these sports because they're all ran different. Football they have a clock. So it's time. Baseball is like a stop and start type of sport where we can start in one inning and we're going to stay in this inning until we stop with 3 outs. So really just adapting to each sport and everything like that is really just the hardest part. I'll say the biggest challenge.
For sure. And I can definitely understand that, especially switching different sports really season to season. And as we kind of wrap up talking about how you got into sports and the G League, working with the Hornets NBA affiliate team, what is it like getting to know the fans and developing a relationship with them? And the reason why I want to ask you that is you've been in basketball a lot longer than I have. For those of you that are started tuning in. I worked very briefly myself before even working with the Rockers. Before moving down to North Carolina pre-COVID, I had the opportunity to be the on-court host for the Boston Celtics affiliate, which is, at the time they were called the Maine Red Claws. I think they are now actually called the
Maine Celtics. So I think they just go
the
by
Maine
the
Celtics. Yeah, I think they actually now are literally called the Maine Celtics. They recently rebranded and changed their name and a bunch of stuff a season or two ago. But anyways, I myself have worked with a number of different sports. And as JB mentioned, you do have to adapt to the fan base and the crowd and the atmosphere and the pace of the game and the length of the schedule and how many games you work and things like that. But for you personally, like getting to know the fans, like what is that like being on court and getting to know people and going back season after season and doing things that make them have a good time? And you're the reason why they're going out on a Friday night, aside from going out to see the players, of course.
Yeah, it's amazing because some of the relationships and connections that I made, they go like past the sport that we're working or going to go see. I'm gonna speak first with like the Rockers since that was like the most recent season. It's been nothing but love from day one with the fans with the Rockers. Like nothing but love and positivity. Very welcome. At first, I was the new Alicia for probably like the first couple weeks. But then after a while, it went to Jeriq and then it goes into JB. So it's been nothing but love and forever grateful for, Rockers Nation for just welcoming me in. A new kid on the block. You're not really knowing what to expect from me, but it's always been constant support. Even in some games where I feel like we could have did tire race better or, the kids could have did dizzy bat better. They still come by and say, I still enjoyed it. Still a great game. So it's honestly been loving, and I appreciate every relationship and connection that I made with every single last season ticket holder, little kid, fan. I actually had a kid ask me for my autograph the last Friday home game we had. I was like, you want me to sign your autograph? I'm not like one of the players. And he was like, so it doesn't matter. You were on the field before the game. And, it's little things like that. It's like, hey, JB, maybe you are doing something right. You are doing a good job no matter how hard you get on yourself. So really just, making memories for kids and even for the parents, just watching their kid get to run on a professional baseball field, or my kid's doing a dressing challenge on an NBA court. He's on the court with Leaky Black, Amari Bailey, RJ Hunter. It's memories like that I love the most with my job, not only because now as a parent, I see it as a kid. So even when me and Kendall, go to sporting events, so she can take a picture with a cheerleader, or because like I do it now with any sports team I work for, I get some type of memorabilia signed or anything like that to give to her, like, daddy can do it, you can do it. So as long as I can